All right, we are recording.
All right.
So, yeah, I guess I'll kick it off. I'll welcome Ivania Morales to our session here today from ICDS, um, and just kind of want to maybe introduce, if you want to introduce yourself, and then maybe we can all go around and just say our name and as well. So I can start. My name is Mark Melby, Assistant Director of Study Away. Work with Study Away semester programs and also short-term programs. So I don't know, Bella, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Bella. I'm the team lead in the Global Learning Office. I'm currently a junior and I'm studying a business management major and a Spanish minor.
Okay, and well, my name is Ivania Morales. I am from ICDS Costa Rica. I'm the person in charge of, international relations for our organization, and I'll be explaining our semester programs for you.
And we have Brian here as well from Costa Rica. So Brian, you're welcome to say a little bit, or if you want to just ask questions or listen along, you're welcome to as well. But yeah, so today, I guess we'll kind of start maybe with Ivania, if you want to take it off and give an overview, and then we can just ask questions as we go along.
Sure. I need to get the screen sharing enabled. Yeah.
Should be good now.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Let me know if you can see my screen by now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, so I'm going to be presenting the program we have. First of all, ICDS stands for International Center for Development Studies. And well, the idea is basically, well, here's a nice photo of Costa Rica just for you to crave a visit, and maybe for Brian to miss our beaches. And well, ICDS was born with the mission of empowering global citizens. Basically, we know that due to globalization, it's not enough to just be familiar with your own environment, but also to study in different places. And I know that it's a requirement from many universities right now. And the idea is to create programs to help those students develop, those intercultural and interdisciplinary competencies that may help them not only for professional life, not only for their careers, but also it will help enrich personal lives as well. So ICDS at first, as the name says, it was created for development studies, but then we also started incorporating other areas of expertise. As you can see it here, sustainability is the first area that we have been specializing in, but then there's also some health components, environment, Spanish, human rights, and international relations. ICDS has been working for over 20 years with international education, and the idea is, again, not only to work on the academic field, but also try to make a more holistic kind of experience. The idea is not only to have programs in the classroom, but also to allow students to be able to experience a whole new culture. So the idea is, of course, that the courses are interdisciplinary, that it can help them improve Spanish skills, of course. And there's no better way to improve a language than to just be immersed in that culture, having to use the language to, to be able to go through everyday life things, right? And of course, to be able to see the country, get to know some locals, get to know what's going on in here firsthand. And well, there's some highlights for our programs, of course. First of all, Discover Costa Rica, and I think Well, I was hearing this a couple of days ago. At least for the U.S., Costa Rica is like the first touristic destination in Latin America that people will want to come. So I think um, I can say a lot of things about our country, but I'm pretty sure that you're already familiar with, you know, all the nature we have, the beaches, the volcanoes, the rainforest. Just a few facts that I can share with you. We do have 5% of the global biodiversity here in a tiny country that is just 0.5% of the world's territory. So that's like, if you just think about the density that means, right? It's mind blowing. I can dare to say. We do have coasts in the Pacific and the Caribbean, which is also great. The country is very small, so it's really easy to get from one place to another. So that's something that our programs offer as well. Classes are from Monday through Thursday, so students will have long weekends to just explore. Um, and usually when we talk to them, sometimes it's like they have gone to so many places. It's like, well, I think they may know my country better than I do, right? Even when I try to, do my best and get to see a little bit of everything. Um, we also, well, in terms of sustainability, 25% of our territory is protected areas. We have been able to reverse deforestation. So we do have more forest cover now than we had in the 80s. Um, and also in terms of energy, it's 99% of our electricity that is generated by renewable sources. So actually, there's something they did a couple of years ago. They just turned off and dismantled the thermic energy, like the generators that were working with fuel, which was like something very daring from our country. But we do know that the renewable sources are capable of just supplying everything. There's even like some of the dams, they are turned off like at night because otherwise we would have more energy than we would need. Um, Also, well, the cultural immersion, you know, is something that we offer, and it's one of the highlights of our program. And one of the ways of getting students to be like really um, immersed in Costa Rican culture is that our programs are based are homestays, right? Students are staying with local families, um, and they will stay with families that have been hosting students for a while also, so they know how to do things. By now, they are really great at getting students to familiarize with Costa Rican culture, um, giving them tips, showing them around, um, and that's like one of the highlights. We just had an evaluation of our latest program, and like one of the things that students are always saying they like were their favorites had to do with staying with local families. Um, Also, of course, the Spanish language, and as I said before, if you need to use a language for everyday situations, that's when you're going to really learn the language and really like interiorize. Then we have the component of experiential learning. We know that just like a class where there's just a teacher talking and students listening, that's kind of a little outdated nowadays. And the idea is to get hands-on on what you're going to be learning, so that you have a better experience, so that you can learn it by heart, if we can. And we also have a community work component, which also helps have a better overview of the situation. When you're working with communities, also you get to know what the environment here, what the context is like, and it's not just going to be something that you're going to be seeing from a screen in a classroom, but you're going to be there where things are happening. Um, in terms of experiential learning, that's just like one of our signature um, components in the programs, and well, I'm sure that this is something that's happening in many universities in many places as well. So all of our programs are complemented by that community work, right? Community service. There's also field trips. I mean, just as I said before, there's like all those long weekends for students to explore on their own, but we do also organize some field trips during the program that do have some connection to the program the students are in. And the idea is that those field trips we organize help them get a better understanding of what they are seeing in the classrooms. Also, there's some cultural activities. The idea is that the students who come here will get to know some more things about the country. So it might be a dance lesson, it might be a cooking lesson so that they learn how to do some Costa Rican dishes, you know, and some more examples just to be more familiar with Costa Rica. And of course, the interaction with the local family will help them, you know, just get a well-rounded cultural experience in here. And now I'm going to go on to business. So this is the semester program that I'm presenting to you today. The name of the program is Sustainable Development and Social Justice in Latin America. And well, there's two semesters that we are offering. First one would be the spring semester from early January to late March, and the other one is the fall semester, early September through early December. Some characteristics of this program, of course, there's no prerequisites. We accept all Spanish levels. There's going to be a placement test before you know, the students get here so that we can place them in the proper Spanish level class for them. There's 4 courses with 12 credit hours, and we have a selection of elective courses. So for this program, there's 2 courses that are going to be, you know, like built in, to say it somehow. So and then there's 2 other courses that the students get to choose, you know, from our list of electives. Just a note here, we have a minimum of 6 students to be open, you know, an elective program. So once you are given the course list, the students are going to be choosing their 2, you know, preferred courses, but they're also going to be choosing like a 3rd course just in case that one of their first choices is not offered due to, you know, not having enough students. Then there's the service learning component, which is, just as I said, it's co-curricular, so it's going to be kind of multidisciplinary. There's different organizations we work with. So the students are also going to be filling a form, letting us know what their interests are, their background as well, so that we can place them in service learning that's going to be suited to their needs and interests. Just as I said before, there's cultural activities and field trips, and other things we offer will have to do with airport pickup and drop off. There's an on-site counselor, and there's of course 24/7 emergency support, which of course we always hope we don't get to use at all during the program, but it's there. And the campus and the resources are from U Latina, which is the largest private university in Costa Rica. Now I'm going to see the courses. So the core courses that are the required ones, of course, Spanish. Again, students are going to be placed in the proper level according to the results of their placement test. And we do it a few weeks before the start of the program. So for example, when there's a student that's currently taking a Spanish course in the home university, if we did the placement test like at the beginning of the previous semester, then probably it wouldn't reflect the proper level that the student would be having after finishing this course. So that's the idea of, you know, behind doing it shortly before the semester starts. And there's the community engagement and sustainable human development course, which is the service learning component, which is, you know, just like that. There's like those service learning sites where students are going to be placed according to their interests and their background, and they're going to have to complete a certain amount of hours, and it's complemented with a class they are going to be having, so that they have an overview of the context in Costa Rica, you know, in terms of different situations. And then here's the list of elective courses. And as you go through them, you're going to be able to see that there's like several like main subjects that these courses, you know, revolve around. So first one has to do with human rights, as you can see, human rights, migration, and social inclusion in Latin America and the Caribbean. Then democracy in Central America, which of course is always an ongoing question. I think it applies everywhere, but in this case, we're talking about our region. Environment, so you're going to see that there's this current environmental issues in Latin America. And you might be able to see how they can fit into like different careers also, you know, majors and minors. There's this international trade and sustainable development, in this case, yeah, of course, the experience of Latin America. Then our corporate social responsibility and sustainable development course, sustainable development in rural and urban Latin America, which is also something that at least our founder, he has been studying a lot on this subject in particular, you know, like how there's some asymmetries between rural and urban, you know, locations in the region. Of course, there's responsible and sustainable tourism. Tourism is like main, well, pandemic kind of shifted things a little bit, but before the pandemic, tourism was our main source of income here in the country. So we do have some experience in trying to make it sustainable, trying to make it responsible, so that we're not, you know, damaging what's giving us, you know, main source of income here. Then there's development in Latin America from a gender perspective, and there's a course that's meant for like advanced Spanish students, or maybe like if someone's a native Spanish speaker, which is Central American literature, and it's taught in Spanish, just you know, to get more in depth with the language for those who, you know, who can, like in a placement test, they show that they can take this course. Again, for the electives, there's a minimum of 6 students in order to open a course. As you can see here, it can be for people who are studying political sciences, for people who are studying environment, for people who are, you know, studying sustainable development related careers, gender studies, and so on. And well, this would be a few more photos of Costa Rica. And this is our contact information. That's our website on top. If you want to take a closer look at the program, there's some videos in there that you might be able to watch and see, like, and there's also some testimonials from former students. There's our Instagram and Twitter, and there's the email address that you can you know, send your questions to. And I would like to open the space for some questions if you want.
Great. Thank you very much for that presentation. It was a great overview, and it allows kind of us to get a good feel, at least for those, the students maybe watching this later on, to see what this program entails. I would maybe start with a question, and one of them would be, you know, if a student studying Spanish here at Concordia, so you could take you have the required Spanish course, and if there would be an advanced option for that Spanish course, right?
Yes, yes.
And then if they wanted to, they could opt to take an elective literature course that you mentioned too, if they were, of course, if they placed.
Yeah, like, I mean, sometimes we've had a question asked about students who are native speakers. So they say, well, do I still have to take Spanish? And the option we give them is they can talk to their home university and see if they can be allowed to take an extra elective course instead of the Spanish course. Yeah.
Sure.
And technically there's like 6 levels that we have. Of course, we don't always open the 6 levels of Spanish because it basically depends on the students. But there's like, you know, lower beginner, higher beginner, lower intermediate, higher intermediate, lower advanced, and like higher advanced, which is like to get, you know, like polishing like the, you know, those more complicated details from the language, you know, maybe.
Certainly, yeah. No, I think it seems like it could be a solid program for a student that's a high-level Spanish student that might be that also maybe has this, like one of those other majors you mentioned, like political science or sustainability and environmental studies, where they can take courses, a little bit of both. So that's interesting.
I guess a question that I thought of was like, what is, because you mentioned like that a lot of students like go throughout the country and things on many different trips. What does transportation look like? Is that kind of with like Ubers, or is there buses? Like, what does that look like?
Okay, here's where one of those like differences between rural and urban kind of show. So in the Central Valley, which is, well, Costa Rica has 7 provinces. 4 of them are in the Central Valley and are more urban, like, and then there's 3 provinces that are in the coast, 2 of them in the Pacific, 1 of them in the Caribbean. So when you're here in San Jose and the surrounding areas, there's a lot of Uber, there's a lot of bus lines that can help them get around. Usually once they get here, so that's also something like what the programs looks like when students get here. They will get here the day after their arrival. They will have an orientation session. That's so they will be, we will talk about a little bit of everything, how to get around, and safety tips also, of course, because it's always important no matter where you're going. Different places they can go to, how to, all the logistics, even basic information about food here, the water, etc. And then their host families are also going to be in charge of, for example, showing them where to take the bus to go to their classes or to go to our office, or walking, how to get to like useful places that are within a walking distance as well. Something that's also important regarding the homestays is that we, like all the families that are hosting students, they are always going to be staying at places that are within a walking distance from the university or a short bus ride also. In terms of moving outside of the Central Valley, there's plenty of buses that can help them get around. And in the most touristic places, they will also be able to find Uber. There's also like the official taxis, or the red ones here. Yeah, sometimes the students may also like, at some point they start bonding, so they will, have like smaller groups, so they might be able to hire a shuttle or, a tour operator that will get them around. So yeah, I think the touristic infrastructure here is pretty well organized, as we have been living from that for a while. So it's usually not a problem. Mhm.
Cool. Good to know. Thank you. I think I have like another question that goes off of that. What would you say? Because obviously, like, there's obviously Costa Rica is a very big tourist attraction. Do you think there's like one thing that like really draws like students, especially to Costa Rica?
Well, besides, yeah, there's like a lot of destinations that are really popular, like different beaches that are well known. And if there's a student, for example, who likes surfing, they already know what the spots are. So yeah, usually they already have like information about what surfing school they want to go to or what spot they want to go to. There's also like a lot of adventure things, like some of them will go zip lining, some of them will want to go bungee jumping sometimes, and so there's young people are always going to be attracted towards adrenaline, I would say. And for some of them, volcanoes. I wouldn't be able to just say one attraction. I would say
Yeah.
maybe the beaches will, I wouldn't say a specific beach, but the beaches will always draw people's attention, of course. And
I think
depending on where you
especially
live.
us living in the tundra up here. So
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where I was going. I was like, well, if you have very cold winters, you're going to be attracted to our weather here, which is really
Mhm.
nice. I don't remember I think it would be 67, 70 degrees or so nearly all year round. 70 to 75. I don't know. Maybe Brian can help me out here, because I'm not good at conversion with temperatures. But yeah.
I'm still not very used to the conversion of the temperature, but I can definitely say that it's way warmer than here.
Yeah.
That's what I can say.
Yeah. And something that also like people will be highlighting about Costa Rica has to do with people being very welcoming. You know, Costa Ricans, there's this slogan for the country that's pura vida, or pure life, and Brian does not let me lie here. We are using that for everything. We use it to say hi, to say thank you, to say goodbye, to say that someone was a nice person, to say that you're doing fine. And you know, people here, they will always, if they see someone who looks like they are not locals, they will be trying to help somehow. Like they see you walking around kind of, you know, trying to get oriented, someone will get to you. And many people will speak English. Some of them will make their best effort and they will try to communicate with you and help you out and be like, oh, you know, there's a nice cafe over there, you can maybe go there and, you know, get Wi-Fi and things like that. Mhm.
Did have another question. So I guess for some students that maybe that haven't been abroad before, or they haven't done a study abroad program, they, you know, there might be just some kind of general worries, and especially as you prepare to go. I think a lot of students, they know once they're there, they feel good, they know that things will run smoothly, but it's the preparation up until the program. So I'm curious, like, you know, our office supports students in the different ways it can, but I guess what kind of like pre-departure support, what would that look like for a student that would be going to ICDS? How would they, what would their connection to you before going look like?
Okay, so I do have full availability, of course, to have you know, Zoom meeting or something if they want to ask extra questions. I know that our counselor, our student counselor, is also available to, you know, have Zoom calls. Sometimes we have done that with certain universities, so there's like an appointment and students can just talk to us and ask questions, and they will, you know, that's easier for them. I've been preparing some counseling material as well, so I might be able to send it to you, like regarding, you know, homestays and things like those. And there's some extra material, like, you know, student handbook. It's usually given upon arrival, but you might be able to arrange it to be given to students, accepted students beforehand, so they can be more familiar with it. Mhm.
Anyone else have any questions? I have maybe like one or two more, but I'm curious if either Bella, if you've got any questions, or Brian, if you've got any questions or comments or thoughts here. I will mention that I think we're really excited to have this partnership continuing and hoping to send more students to ICDS. So,
Yep. I wanted to know how the schedule breaks, like fall break or spring break, how would they look, or how would they be with the program?
Fall break, or well, usually, so our, for example, right now our program is starting by the beginning of September and ending in beginning of December. So we don't have like scheduled break like a whole week or something like that. Technically, just like I told you, there's usually class in the morning and service learning in the afternoon, or sometimes it might be the other way around. Sometimes during the rainy season, we may prefer to just have service learning in the morning, so that in case it starts raining in the afternoon, they're going to be in a classroom and it's easier. Um, and then it's going to be long weekends throughout the semester, except for the 2 weekends when we have the field trips. So the students are going to be with us. But yeah, there's no, and if, of course, if there's like some holiday happening during the semester, then students are also going to be having the holiday, of course. But yeah, we don't do the breaks. Like, I mean, you can kind of say you're in Costa Rica, so you're kind of in a semester extended break somehow. Mhm.
I know that you like mentioned like field trips. So what do those look like? Like what does do you all go as a group? Is everyone like, do they have to go, or is it kind of like optional? Like what does that look like?
Okay, so it's just 2 days, 1 night. Um, Everyone's staying, yeah, the whole group is going together. It's also, you know, it also helps kind of create bonding within the group also. One of the places, well, just as I said before, I'm rather new in ICDS, so I've only been able to go to 2 of those, and actually it was the same place. And some of the students kept on saying that it kind of felt like camp, because everyone's together. There's a, you know, you know, bonfire during the night and things like those. So it kind of brings back those memories. But the idea is also that the group, for example, in this place we went to, they do have some sustainable practices within that spot, so they will also be able to learn about that. Once we also made a visit to another place with one of the health programs, so they also get to see what healthcare looks like in a rural area. So we kind of try to integrate some of the things they are learning into the field trip. So the idea is that all students go to. Of course, we cannot force everyone to go, but of course, there's some learning involved as well. And I don't know, I think Mark, you had some more questions.
Yeah, I think one other question I had was about for students that would study at ICDS, if they have maybe chances to meet local students or young people, if that's, if that kind of thing happens, and how students might get a chance to meet people, like maybe local university students or people.
Yeah, so the classes do take place in a local university, so that they do get the chance to meet local students over there. Of course, they will go out, they will visit touristic places, they will get to know people around there. In the service learning component, in community service, they will also get to know people from around, and of course through their family. So sometimes they will have like a host brother or sister who may have like their friends around, or people from the neighborhood. It's like, and as I told you, Costa Ricans will try to help out if they see them around. Sometimes a random person will just go and talk to them in the street. I know it sounds kind of weird when you say it like that, but yeah.
For me, that sounds really familiar to like the Minnesota Nice, and like people, like I've talked to like tons of international students, and they're like, why are you guys so nice? It's so weird. Because it's kind of that same kind of a thing. Like if you, like I've had it multiple times where I'll see like, somebody in Target that looks absolutely lost, and they're just like looking for like help anywhere, and you're just like, hey, are you okay? And they're like, I think that also comes because I'm an RA on campus, so I also have to deal with that kind of a thing. So makes me more, opted to do something like that. But Minnesotans tend to be pretty nice. So yeah, that sounds very familiar.
Okay, so that's good to know as well.
Yeah, because that might be like also a transition for like people that are from here, especially being like immersed in a new language, well, not new language, but like in a new culture where that like their secondary language possibly is like the like primary, thing. It's a complete immersion in it. And I think for a lot of students that can be very, very overwhelming of like, I'm thousands of miles away from home, and speaking this language, and what if I don't find somebody that's that speaks English, and like how am I going to communicate with people? So like, and having that like connection culturally in that kind of a way, I think can be really important for people that are from the United States, and especially Minnesota. So
yeah, like I said before, most Costa Ricans, well, at least a certain generation and younger, English is mandatory in both elementary and high school. So, I mean, it might be a very basic level, but they might still be able, yeah, most people, and I think it happens to mostly anyone learning a new language, you understand more than you can communicate, but at least they might be able to get a hold of what the student needs at the moment, right? And
right, or grab somebody else,
maybe some kind of this, yeah, or kind of some, those sign languages that we kind of invent when we were trying to communicate with someone in a different language. So yeah.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
that kind of answers my questions. I don't know if anyone else has any questions, Brian or anyone. This has been helpful, and I think that hopefully this recording too will be of good use for students. And yeah, I guess for the students watching this, the next step would be, if you're interested in this program, to contact Global Learning. You can schedule a meeting with an advisor on Navigate to chat about the process and the application. And then obviously, if you've got further questions, Ivania and the folks at ICDS can answer those specific questions. Brian has to run. Thank you, Brian, for joining.
Thank you, Brian. Hasta
Ciao.
luego.
Hasta luego.
I'm sending my direct email to the chat just in case. I know, Mark, we do communicate through that one already, but just in case Bella needs something as well. I mean, the info one is like the general one, but then that's like their direct line.
Yeah. Are there any other final thoughts you have before we wrap up?
I would say my only final thought would be I wish we can have a few Concordia students with us next spring. Yeah. Promise it's going to be a nice, unforgettable experience.
Yeah, all the students that have come back from ICDS have had great things to say, and for the program and for the country, for so many factors, and just the people as well. So I think that we definitely consider this one of our top programs, and hope that we can continue to send some more students.
Yeah, I think like
Wow,
probably
thank you
one of
for-
the coolest things that I noticed like throughout your, because I haven't looked at every specific like thing about every single program, right? Because we have like 45. But like the fact of like how long the program is, it's not like it's because some of our programs run from like our one in Australia runs from like mid-January-ish to like early June. And so like that's a really, really long time to be gone. And like sometimes like me, I'm very like connected to my home life. And so like for me to be gone for 4 to 5 months is a really daunting thing versus like something like this where it's like, 2-ish like full months of like cultural immersion and like in a different place. So it feels like you at least got a pretty good break, but also you're not away for so long. Because I feel like that's way more attainable to people that like come to campus and then they don't like in August and then they don't go home until our fall break, which is 2 months after that. So I feel like that is a good thing to put into perspective too.
Yeah, that's a comment I heard from some of the students that just left from the previous program, from a winter health program. And it's also like, 2 months-ish. And yeah, near the end of the program, I asked some of them, so how are you feeling? Yeah, and they were like, oh, we have so many mixed up feelings because somehow, yeah, we do miss home and we want to go back, but it's like we're going to miss this, but we do think it's like the perfect amount of time. Like, they were saying that if we had stayed 3 more weeks, we'd probably be really homesick by then. So yeah, that's
Yeah, I think it's a really good
thing that you mentioned.
Yeah, really good time period anyways.
Yeah, and something that I heard a few days ago also was that so they didn't like there's a revisit rate here that like someone who comes here for a study abroad experience, they will come back like 6 or 7 times through their lifetime, which is like, it surprised me. I didn't know that fact, and I was really surprised.
Yeah, that's interesting. They find it like so much of a home at that time that they want to keep coming back. So that's really pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, we do thank you so much for coming on, and look forward to the continued partnership. And yeah,
Yes, thank you.
Students watching this, feel free to reach out to
thank
Global
you.
Learning and Ivania.
Yeah, we'll be waiting for for you.
Alrighty.
Email or
Well, Have a good rest of your day and weekend.
Yeah, enjoy your weekend too. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.